The green mansion loomed before Van like an imposing shadow as she stood in the doorway, clutching her suitcase. The lavish candle-sized ceilings and polished marble floors reflected an aura of wealth and power, but to Ian it felt cold, much like the man who owned it. Jungkook was already inside, casually leaning against the staircase with his hand in his pocket. His dark eyes observed her impassively, offering no hint of welcome. One forced herself to stand tall, refusing to let his indifference intimidate her. She took a deep breath and stepped inside, feeling the weight of her new life settle on her shoulders. Your room is upstairs, the second door on the left. Jungkook said briskly, barely sparing her a glance. Once pro forward, my room. Yes, I thought that would be obvious, he replied, coldly turning to walk away. This is a marriage of conventions, not affection. I don't accept you to intrude on my space, and I will respect yours. Ryan bit back a sarcastic report, noting instead it was not like she had any say in the matter anyway. She dragged her suitcase up the staircase, feeling more like a guest than a wife. Later that evening, Jungkook called her to the dining room where they sat at the head of the long table, a glass of water in front of him. His expression was businesslike, as if he were discussing a corporate deal rather than laying down rules for their married life. There are a few things we need to be clear on. He began his tone firm. First, don't interfere in my work or personal matters. I am a busy man and I don't have time for distractions. Fine folded her arms, resting on eyebrow. Distractions, so that's what you think of me. Jungkook ignored her sarcasm and continued, second, don't go into my office, my study, or my bedroom without permission. This is not a home for us to play house. It's an arrangement. His words felt like icy needles piercing through her, but Ryan swallowed her heart, putting on a brave face. Fine. Anything else, sir? Jungkook's jaw tightened slightly at her making tone, but he maintained his stoic Gemini. Yes, we will maintain appearance in public. Outside these walls, we will act like my wife, but in here, we will separate lives. Swan could not hold back a better laugh. Separate lives? That's easy for you to say, is not it, Jungkook? If you follow the rules, we will get along just fine, he said, dismissing her with a nod. You are free to go. Days turned into weeks, and life in the mansion became a monotonous routine. Jungkook was often away, either locked in his study or working late at his office. Pine spent her days wandering the vast empty halls, feeling more like a patient than a resident. She found herself talking to the maids, desperate for any hint of companionship. One morning, she decided to test Jungkook's boundaries. It was a small act of rebellion, something to break the stifling silence. She entered the kitchen where Jungkook's meticulously organized coffee supplies catch her attention. I bet he won't like this, she muttered, mischievously rearranging the coffee mugs and spoons just as she set the last cup down. She heard a voice behind her. What do you think you are doing? Wang jumped, spinning around to see Jungkook standing in the doorway, his arms crossed and an annoyed look on his face. Oh, just improving the arrangement, she replied, forcing a sweet smile. He left out an expressive sign. This is not yours playground, Ryan. Do as you please elsewhere, but don't touch my things. Her temper flared. You know what, Jungkook? For someone who claims he does not care, you sure are particularly about your space. Jungkook stepped closer, his voice low and cold, because that's what this is, my space. If you can't respect that, then this arrangement won't work. Wine sat pounding as she glared back. Fine, I will stay out of your precious space. Despite the daily tension, there were moments when Vine's funny and dramatic personality unacceptedly brought a hint of warmth into the mansion's otherwise fixed atmosphere. Fun evening, she was watching a comedy show in the living room, laughing loudly at the ridiculousness of the characters. Jungkook passed by, glazing over with a frown. Is something funny? He asked, unable to hide his curiosity. Yes, actually, Vian granted, her eyes twinkling with mischief, but I doubt you had find it funny. You don't seem to have a sense of humor. Jungkook's lips twitched. Tauta quickly schooled his expression back into a neutral one. I can appreciate humor, Vian. I just don't waste my time on nonsense. Well, maybe nonsense is exactly what you need. She showed back. It might do you some good to loosen up a bit. To her surprise, Jungkook's gaze softened, if only for a second, before he shook his head and walked away. Wine watched him to go, a stranger feeling stirring in her chest. It was almost like he was hiding something, some part of himself that he did not want anyone, especially her, to see. Jungkook lay in his own room, staring at the ceiling. The image of Ryan's free expressions, the hurt in her eyes, played over in his mind. She was strong, stubborn, and unfair to stand up to him, even when he pushed her away. Her spirit was something he could not ignore, no matter how hard he tried. Unconsciously, he let out a sigh, feeling a strange pang of regret. He had not expected her to actually move to another room, but he had not stopped her either. Perhaps he had gone too far with his strict rules and ice behavior, but admitted that even to himself was out of the question. Emotions were a weakness. He had learned that lesson long ago. Days passed in silence. Vine and Jungkook rarely saw each other, and when they did, they exchanged little more than cold greetings. Yet the mansion seemed empty. The walls colder. Vine had hoped that greeting some distance would bring her peace, but instead it only heightened her sense of loneliness. One evening, as Vine sat in her room, she found herself glancing toward the door, half expecting, half hoping that Jungkook might come knocking, but the hallway remained silent. In their vast grand mansion, Jungkook and Ryan continued to live like strangers, two people born by marriage but separated by an unbridgeable emotional charms. And though neither would admit it, each began to feel the sting of that distance like a cold that seeped into their very bones. To be continued.